Today we're gonna be making kabocha miso soup udon noodles. This recipe is filling, comforting, takes you 20 minutes to make it one pot. All of my recipes can be found on my blog. The link is on the description box below. I have a kabocha squash. If you're not familiar with the kabocha squash, it's the most popular squash in Japan. The taste is a cross between the pumpkin and sweet potato, and as you can see, the skin is pretty hard, but 100% edible. It is high in vitamin B and fibers. It's also very kids friendly because it's sweet.
硬い。どうしようこれ。硬い。
To make it easier to cut, just pop them into the microwave at 600 watt for about 1.5 minutes with the cover on. In a way, you don't end up like me. This kabocha squash is the key component in this dish. Just roughly chop them into small pieces. Chinese cabbage. It's a winter seasonal vegetable in Japan, so I use it a lot during this time, from stir fry to hot pot. I also made a pickles on this channel, so please try one if you have access to Chinese cabbage, leaving the link in the description box below. Next, slice the leek thinly. Leek tends to catch the dirt between the sleeves, so make sure to wash it thoroughly. And you can also substitute to yellow onion and spring onion. Next, shiitake mushroom. Remove the stem and slice it thinly. You can use any type of mushrooms. And we are not gonna waste the stem. Tear it by hand and it's gonna give a nice stringy meaty texture to your dish. If the bottom is too dry and hard to eat, please cut it off. Now the prep is done. Into the pot, pour 3 cups of water. Throw everything all in once. What I love about this recipe is everything can be done in one pot and very forgiving, so you will hardly make any mistakes. Then add 2 teaspoons of kombu dashi powder. Pop the lid. Start heating up over high heat. I've been receiving a lot of questions regarding Japanese ingredients. If you go to my website, there is a shop link in each of the recipes. So please visit my website sometime so that you can get the picture of each ingredient. I hope this helps. Once it comes to a boil, reduce the heat to medium and cook it all for about 10 minutes until the kabocha squash breaks down into small chunks. On the halfway through, the kabocha squash is fully cooked but is still holding the shape. By the way, if you can't find the kabocha squash, you can swap for sweet potatoes or any kind of squash. After another 5 minutes, you can see the kabocha squash is broke down and melted into the soup. You can see the soup starts to become lightly golden in color. This is gonna give the natural sweetness to your soup. If you decide to opt for squash and sweet potato, please cook it off until there's no more big chunk in your soup. Time to add the udon noodle. I'm gonna use a frozen one since I like the thick, chewy texture of it. But of course, you can use dried noodle or even rice noodle works in this recipe. Make sure to cook it al dente beforehand if you decide to go for dried noodles. Feel free to top up the water if it's needed. In a couple of minutes, the udon noodle is thawed and separated and becomes more playable. Make sure not to overcook it. I love to have a little bit of texture left. At this point, add 1.5 tablespoons of miso paste. I picked the yellow miso paste because it got a hint of sweetness and not so overpowering, but you guys can use any kind of miso you have on hand. Scoop into the ladle and break it down with the chopstick until it becomes pasty. In a way, you won't have lumps in your soup. Stir that in. Then add 1 teaspoon of soy sauce. Sorry, I forgot to film that part. off the heat. Remember that each miso paste has a different sodium content, so please have a quick taste and adjust the taste by adding more miso paste or water. Time to assemble into the bowl. I'm serving it into the clay pot for the presentation purpose. I don't use much of this clay pot since it's too small to cook any of the dishes, but today is the perfect day for the clay pot to shine. Sprinkle some chopped spring onion and ready to be enjoyed. Udon will be coated with the heavenly thick, sweet kabocha miso soup. It's one of the easiest noodle recipes, but the flavor is complex. The sweetness from the kabocha squash, together with the deep, mellow flavor from miso paste. Chewy udon noodle for the fun texture. If you can't think of any for dinner, then try this. If you like this quick, easy weekend dinner type of video, make sure to leave the comment below so that I can make more in the future. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe and share with your family and friends. See you soon. またね。バイバイ。